We begin not in a temple, nor a cave, but in the place most people avoid the most, the silence within themselves. I remember vividly the first time I encountered the vibration, not the one you hear with your ears, but the one you feel in your bones, in your soul. It was during a 7-day vow of silence in the heart of an ancient desert monastery. No food, no speech, no distraction. Just me, the wind, and something else. Something older than time. A pulse beneath the ground, a frequency whispering not in words, but in patterns. That was the first time I realized there is a blueprint encoded in our very being. And very few know it exists. You felt it before, haven't you? That strange pull in your chest when you're alone in nature. That moment where time seems to pause and you suddenly feel like you were born for something more. That is not imagination. That is resonance. And if you're watching this, you're not here by chance. You're one of the few who's ready to remember. You see, the world has forgotten what the ancients knew. Our ancestors didn't just build temples and pyramids, they encoded vibrational truths into stone, into sound, into the very geometry of their sacred spaces. They understood that reality isn't made of matter. It's made of frequency. And the human being? We're not just observers of this frequency, we're tuning forks. We're instruments in a cosmic orchestra. The chosen ones? They're the ones who learn to play the music. But here is the first paradox. The blueprint is not something you can read. It's not a map you can hold. It's an alignment you must become. And most people will never even realize it exists because they're too distracted by the noise of the world, scrolling, consuming, reacting, not listening. So I ask you now, as we begin this journey, when was the last time you truly listened, not with your ears, but with your soul? The ancient vibrational blueprint is not given to the eyes. It is revealed through experiences, suffering, silence, stillness. It tests you. It breaks you. And then it tunes you. Like a string stretched across the void of the universe, it needs tension to create harmony. You are being tuned right now. Every trauma, every heartbreak, every moment you thought would destroy you, it was not random. It was resonance. The universe doesn't punish. It aligns.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Let me tell you about the first vibration. In ancient texts from the Vedas to the Emerald Tablets, there is mention of a primordial sound, a frequency from which all others descend. The Hindus call it Om. The Egyptians encoded it in chants never spoken aloud. Scientists today call it the background radiation of the universe. But those who've heard it know it is not just a sound. It is a reminder, a call. And when we begin to hear it again, not in the ears, but in the soul, we awaken the ancient blueprint that lies dormant within. You may ask, why me? Why now? Because you've already begun to feel the dissonance. You've looked around at a world obsessed with surface money, fame, status, and felt, deep down, that none of it is real. That feeling is the first activation. The blueprint begins to awaken when the illusion begins to collapse. And here's what they don't tell you. The chosen ones are not chosen by an outside force. They are chosen by their own willingness to descend into darkness, to face the silence, and to emerge with a truth only they can carry. The blueprint is not a reward. It is a responsibility. Have you ever noticed how the ones who carry the deepest wisdom often also carry the deepest wounds? That's not coincidence. That's calibration. The vibrational blueprint works by contrast. Light is born in darkness. Power is found in surrender. And true knowledge gnosis does not come from books or gurus. It comes from remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. There is a moment in the awakening where everything you thought you were begins to unravel. Your identity, your goals, your beliefs, all of it starts to feel like clothing that no longer fits. This is not a crisis. This is the shedding of the false frequency. The chosen ones are not the ones who stand above others. They are the ones who go so deep within that they find the universal chord, the ancient resonance, and they begin to live from it. And then, strange things begin to happen. You begin to see patterns, repeating numbers, synchronicities, not just once, but daily. You start meeting people who seem to be mirrors of your own journey. You sense emotions before they're spoken. You feel drawn to sacred places without knowing why. And sometimes, in moments of stillness, you hear it, that low, subtle hum beneath all things. That is not imagination. That is remembrance. But here's the warning. Not all frequencies are pure. The world is full of distortions. Fear, anger, greed, these are not just emotions. They are frequencies designed to keep you out of alignment. And the more you awaken, the more you will feel them as noise. You will crave silence. You will need solitude. Because the blueprint requires clarity, and clarity cannot be found in chaos. The ancient vibrational blueprint of the true chosen ones is not glamorous. It is not loud. It is precise. Like the tuning of a sacred instrument, it requires patience, devotion, and the courage to remove everything that is not in harmony. And once you begin to hear it, truly hear it, your life will never be the same. You will begin to speak differently. Your words will carry weight. Your presence will calm storms. Animals will respond to you. Children will stare at you. Not because you are special, but because you are aligned. You have remembered the tone, this sacred tone. And yet the blueprint is not something you keep. It is something you become. And in becoming it, you light the way for others. Not by teaching, not by preaching, but by being. Your frequency does the work. Your vibration becomes a beacon. So ask yourself now, honestly, what in your life is lowering your frequency? What are you holding on to that is not in harmony with your soul? Because until you answer that, the tuning cannot begin. We are not here to live normal lives. We are here to remember the ancient music buried within the silence of our DNA. We are here to become the chord that the universe once struck when it whispered existence into the void. And you, yes, you are not watching this by accident. You are being called, not by me, not by this video, but by the vibration itself. Can you feel it? Can you remember? I want you to imagine for a moment a desert at night. No lights, no sound, just the endless stretch of darkness and silence. Now imagine standing in the middle of that stillness and hearing a tone not from outside, but from within. A tone that doesn't just echo through your ears, but pulses through your blood. That is the sound the ancients knew, the sound that shapes reality. You see, when we speak of vibration, many think of singing bowls, chants, or frequencies like 432 Hz. But those are fragments, tiny echoes of a much older, much more powerful truth. The ancient ones didn't just use sound. They programmed reality with it. They understood that sound is not just an effect of vibration, it is vibration made conscious. And when vibration becomes conscious, it becomes creation. The entire universe is made of frequency. Your thoughts, your emotions, your body, even the objects you touch, they're all just vibrations at different rates of oscillation. But here is the secret the ancient initiates guarded with their lives. Just as sound can shape matter, intention can shape sound. That's the key to unlocking the blueprint. Let's go deeper. In the ancient temples of Egypt, there were rooms where no words were ever spoken. Not because they were forbidden, but because the sound of truth was already present. These rooms were constructed with such precise geometry that even a whisper would resonate for minutes. The initiates would lie in these chambers not to listen, but to remember. The frequencies held in those walls would trigger visions, downloads, and awakenings. Why? Because the sound was encoded with intention, and intention, when pure, becomes a command. Modern science is barely catching up. Cymatics, the study of visible sound, shows us that when you play a tone over a plate covered in sand, the sand rearranges into intricate geometric patterns. Change the frequency, and the pattern changes. Now ask yourself, if sound can shape sand, what do you think your thoughts are doing to your body? What are your words doing to your life? You are a living vibrational field. And every word you speak, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, they all shape your field in real time. The ancients didn't chant because it felt good. They chanted because it reprogrammed the matrix. Every syllable was chosen not for meaning, but for resonance. This is why the blueprint is vibrational. Because it cannot be spoken. It must be felt. It must be embodied. And once you begin to live in alignment with that vibration, something miraculous happens. The external world begins to reorganize itself around your internal truth. Have you ever noticed how, after a moment of deep clarity or spiritual awakening, the world seems to respond? Maybe someone randomly calls you. An opportunity appears. You feel lighter, but somehow more powerful. This is not coincidence. This is resonance. You changed your frequency, and the matrix obeyed. But here's where most people stop. They think the blueprint is about manifestation, about getting what they want. But the blueprint is not about control. It's about coherence. The goal is not to bend reality to your desires. The goal is to become so aligned, so vibrationally pure, that reality bends to the truth you embody. Then truth, that's where it gets hard. Because the deeper you go, the more you'll be asked to release. You cannot carry distortion into the higher frequencies. The fear, ego, attachment, they're like static. They interfere with the signal. And so, the blueprint will begin to purge you, gently at first, then violently. You'll lose friends. You'll question your sanity. You may even feel like your whole life is falling apart. But here's the paradox. It's not falling apart. It's falling into place. The dissonant frequencies are being stripped away so your true tone can emerge. Think of a musician tuning a string. It must be tightened, adjusted, sometimes even replaced. The pain you feel is not punishment. It's preparation. And when you begin to emit your true frequency, when your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and your intentions are all aligned, you become what the ancient ones called a living chord. In this state, you don't chase, you attract. Not because you want, but because you are. You don't seek knowledge, it finds you. Books fall off shelves, teachers appear, dreams become lucid. Time begins to bend, the veil between worlds thins, but don't romanticize it. Because the higher the frequency, the more refined your integrity must become. You cannot carry deception into this state. The universe will test you, not with suffering, but with choice. Over and over you will be asked, will you choose truth or comfort? Will you choose alignment or approval? The blueprint is not a destination. It's a discipline, a practice, a way of being in constant relationship with the sound of the universe. Let me share something personal. I once spent 3 days isolated inside a granite chamber beneath an ancient mountain in India. No light, no sound, just me and the tone. At first I thought I was going mad. Then I realized the vibration wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from within. My heartbeat began to sync with it. My breath followed. And then the visions began. I saw symbols, ancient scripts I had never studied, yet somehow understood. I saw a web of light connecting all things, and I heard a voice, not in words, but in vibration. It said, "You are not separate. You are not small. You are not lost. You are the tone becoming form." That moment changed everything, not because I learned something new, but because I remembered what had always been true. I am the vibration. You are the vibration. We are the living expression of an ancient sound still echoing through the void. And the blueprint? It's not a secret. It's a state of sound. So let's get practical. If you want to activate the blueprint, start here, silence daily. Not just quiet silence. Even 5 minutes of intentional stillness can recalibrate your field. Speak less, mean more. Use words like spells. Only speak what you want to make real. Chant, hum, tone. Find frequencies that resonate with your body. Let your voice become your tuning fork. Clean your environment. Sound is affected by space. Declutter your room, your phone, your mind. Feel before you act. If something feels off, it probably is. Trust resonance over reason. In nature, the Earth emits a frequency --7.83 Hz, the Schumann resonance. It aligns your field naturally. Forgive. Resentment is a low frequency. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for your tone. And most importantly, listen. The blueprint is always speaking. Through dreams, through intuition, through the still, small voice that knows what's true even when your mind doesn't. You don't need to become anything. You just need to tune in. So now I ask you, if your life was a song right now, what would it sound like? And more importantly, would you want to listen to it? Because you are composing it, every day with your choices, your thoughts, your silence. The ancient ones didn't leave behind instructions. They left behind resonance. And we, the chosen ones not chosen by birthright, but by willingness, are here to remember the sound, to become the sound, to let it move through us and remake the world. This is not metaphor. This is physics. This is sacred. This is the blueprint. You've heard the tone. You felt the stirrings of remembrance. But now comes the true test. Can you sustain the vibration? The blueprint is not a moment. It's not a flash of insight or a spiritual high. Those are initiations, glimpses into the infinite. The real work begins after the vision, after the silence. When the world tries to pull you back into its noise, and you must choose, moment by moment, to remain in tune. This is where most fall. Not because they are weak, but because they are unpracticed. The modern world does not train us in spiritual stamina. It rewards reaction, speed, performance. But the chosen frequency? It moves slowly, deliberately. It hums beneath the chaos. And to hear it, to live in it, you must become something rare in this world still. Let me be clear, not everyone is ready for this. That's why the path narrows as you go deeper. The frequency that rewrites reality is not loud. It is subtle, and subtleties require discernment. Not everything that feels spiritual is aligned. Not every high vibration is true resonance. You must learn to feel with your entire being, not just your emotions, but your energy field, your nervous system, your breath. Because once you begin to truly live from the blueprint, you don't just change your life. You change reality's response to you. You become a signal, a lighthouse in the fog of collective distortion. And light always attracts attention. That's when the tests come. The universe will begin to present you with mirrors, people who challenge your peace, situations that tempt you back into old patterns, opportunities that sparkle but distort your tone. These are not obstacles, they are calibrations. Every test is the blueprint asking, will you hold the frequency, even when it costs you comfort? And here is the deepest truth. There is a cost. To live aligned is to live awake. And to live awake in a sleeping world is a burden the ego cannot carry. That's why it must be surrendered. The ego wants applause, but the frequency wants purity. The ego wants followers. The blueprint wants authenticity. The ego wants the path to be seen. The vibration wants it to be walked. So ask yourself now, what are you unwilling to let go of, even though it's lowering your frequency? That is the part of you that cannot cross the threshold. There is a reason the blueprint is hidden in vibration and not in language. Vibration cannot lie. You can say the right words, post the right pictures, wear the right crystals, but if your frequency is distorted, the distortion will manifest. Always. This is not punishment. This is physics. Your life is the echo of your tone. And if your tone is pure, the world begins to open like a flower to the sun. Synchronicities become normal. People heal in your presence. You walk into rooms and shift the energy. You don't need to preach, convince, or defend. Your being does the work, because you have become the tone, the sound that shapes reality. But here's the sacred paradox: you are not special, and yet you are vital. The chosen ones are not chosen to rise above others. They are chosen to remember first, so they can help others remember. Not by teaching, but by transmitting. Your vibration becomes a gift, a medicine, but only if you stay aligned, and that requires spiritual hygiene. Yes, I said hygiene, because energy gets dirty. You must cleanse not just your body, but your field. Daily. You must unplug from toxic inputs, news, gossip, fear. You must protect your peace like a lioness protects her cubs. Because your peace is not a luxury. It is your portal. Only in peace can the deeper tones be heard. And those deeper tones, they begin to guide you. Not through logic, but through resonance. You begin to feel when something is right, not because it makes sense, but because it vibrates correctly. You meet someone and know within seconds if they are in tune. You walk into a space and feel its harmony or its dissonance. You begin to trust not what you think, but what you feel. And this is where the world may call you crazy. But let me tell you something only the initiated understand. Craziness is often clarity misread by the blind. The more aligned you become, the more invisible you may feel. Because the blueprint is not popular. It doesn't trend. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And yet, that whisper can tear down illusions louder than any scream. So what do you do once you've tuned in? Once you've begun to live the tone, you become a guardian of frequency. You stop arguing and start embodying. You stop trying to change others and start resonating so clearly that others change because of your presence. You become a field of coherence in a world of chaos. You become the calm in the storm, not because you avoid the storm, but because you remember you are the sky. And the sky holds all storms. This is what the blueprint is ultimately about, holding the frequency. Not for a moment, not for a weekend retreat, but as a way of being, a lifestyle, a devotion. Because when enough of us hold it together, reality shifts. The matrix begins to crack. The illusions start to fall. People wake up not because we told them to, but because they felt the tone. They remembered. They retuned. And this is why only a few can sustain the vibration. Not because others are unworthy, but because it takes radical willingness to live outside the noise. It takes discipline to choose alignment over approval. It takes courage to face the silence within and not run. But if you do, if you hold the tone long enough, the blueprint begins to reveal its final secret. You are not just tuning into something ancient. You are becoming something new. You become a new note in the cosmic song. A frequency the earth has never heard before. You become the evolution of vibration itself. Not a copy of the past. Not a return to tradition. But a new resonance born of silence, shaped by suffering, refined by love. And when that tone is sung by enough of us, in harmony, the world as we know it changes. Not through revolution, but through resonance. So I ask you now, one final question. Will you hold the tone, even when no one else does? Even when it's lonely? Even when it's hard? Even when the old world begs you to come back? Because the truth is, you can't go back. Once you hear the sound, once you feel the blueprint humming beneath your skin, you are marked, not by fate, but by frequency. You are one of the few. You are one of the chosen, not to dominate, not to escape, but to resonate. Now go. Be the tone, and let the world remember.